Welcome to the Building Materials Sales and Marketing Podcast, presented by Mark Mitchell, a sales and marketing consultant who specializes in helping building materials companies overcome difficult sales problems. Mark is the author of the book Building Materials Channel Marketing and a frequent speaker at industry events.
Hello, this is Mark Mitchell from Wizard Strategy. On today's podcast, I want to talk to you about CRM or customer relationship management programs. I see lots of problems with CRM and building materials. I see a few companies doing a great job, and I think that eventually, CRM is a necessary tool that you will need to use at some point when you're ready. This podcast is based on an interview that I did with Aaron Ayer, who's from the Hunley Group, who is a Salesforce implementation firm. And I had a great discussion with him to learn more about how dispel some of my beliefs or change some of my thinking, and also to find out how to do it correctly. Let me start out by saying that I don't know if you're familiar with what a Myers-Briggs personality test is or type is, but my Myers-Briggs type is INTP. And one of the things I really like about being an INTP is that I can never lose an argument. Even if the other person is right, I still come out a winner because I learned something. And so I was really looking, I love to get into these discussions. And so my experience with building material companies and CRM programs is, first of all, before talking to Aaron, my experience is about what was right about CRM. Is building material companies I have worked with who have a CRM program that has been correctly implemented and managed have a real advantage over their competitors. Salespeople today are very expensive tools, and if you're not constantly increasing their productivity, it's like you're dealing with rising raw material costs but can't increase your prices. It's no longer possible to make a salesperson more productive by simply having them make more sales calls. They need to call on the right customers at the right time, and they need to rely on more than their gut or intuition when making these decisions. A CRM program also measures activities well beyond simple sales call reports to give you more and better information you can use to improve the performance of your sales team. In the near future, not having a CRM program will be like not having a website. It will be an essential part of your business. In fact, it's already the norm in many other industries. Now, let me put on the other shoe and talk about what's not right about CRM for building material companies. In my experience, here's why building material companies fail to successfully use a CRM program. First mistake. Building material companies see a CRM program like Salesforce as an easy, self-fulfilling way to grow their sales. All they have to do is sign up for the CRM software and write a check. They have not thought about the time commitment it'll take to implement and drive adoption of a CRM program as part of their business. In a nutshell, they don't anticipate a CRM program requiring a change management program. The second mistake that I find companies make is they're not ready to make the use of a CRM program as a condition of employment. Many companies get a CRM program and believe that the sales team will learn to love it and use it. What they don't realize is that some of their top salespeople are very comfortable in their jobs and have no interest in changing. These companies then worry that they'll lose these people if they insist that they use the CRM program. The only companies I've seen successfully use a CRM program are those that insist that it be used. During the implementation, it's easy for the salespeople to see it as just more work that generates reports that no one will read. But when a company sticks with it and works through the difficulties of implementation, the salespeople start to realize how a CRM program helps them. Before you know it, they wonder how they ever survived without it. And that's my experience in dealing with companies that have gone through this change, that I literally have seen unbelieving salespeople say to me, Mark, I can't believe how I did business without this CRM. At first, I hated it. but now I can't imagine doing business without it, and I wouldn't work for a company that didn't have a good CRM system in place. Now, the next thing is what I wanted to cover is what building material companies need to know about customer relationship management. So customer relationship management can give your company a great advantage, but too few building material companies know how, as I said, to implement it properly. So I asked Aaron a few questions that would bring us up to speed on this subject. So my first question is, what are the biggest reasons that a building material company should consider a CRM program? And the first point Aaron made was productivity. CRM program helps your individual users or salespeople do their jobs much more efficiently. The second reason is best practices processes standardization. Wow, that's some kind of term. And so what Aaron says, a well-constructed CRM extends a company's defined, most effective go-to-market practices across the organizations. Users trend to the most effective processes, raising the overall average performance of the team. Now, an old school way of looking at what Aaron just said is that every company, if you have 10 salespeople, you have one best salesperson and one worst salesperson, and then they all kind of fall in between. And if you look at the practices of maybe your top salespeople, you will find there's certain things they do that make them more successful, but those lessons or best practices are many times are not communicated to the other salespeople, raising the bar of everybody. And a CRM program is naturally it automatically helps you to do that. You aren't dependent upon, Harry, would you get up here at the sales meeting and tell us what you do? How you're a better salesperson? It is inherently built into the system. So once again, about efficiency and also not losing opportunities. The third important part of a CRM program is transparency and oversight. Good dashboards reflect key performance indicators and make user activity visible to managers. So leaders know what their teams are doing and can coach them more effectively to succeed. Executives get real-time leading indicator visibility to pipeline trends and market signals. And so that sounds like a bunch of, corporate gobbledygook, but I see what it means in that it's not just getting a bunch of call reports and you do the simple math. Did you call on 13 people this week? And what were the results of those calls? You get much more in-depth analytics, and it's much easier to compare one person's performance to another, and you start to see that it's just not the person that makes the most sales calls is the winner. And these rather nuanced learnings come out of a sophisticated tool like CRM much better than just the old-fashioned send in call reports in which you're making measures, but you're not measuring the right things. I guess I'll say that. Now, the next question that I asked Aaron was, how can a building material company tell if they are ready for a CRM program? And the first thing he said is they have an internal sales executive champion responsible for the program. So ideally, I think this means like the VP of sales, head of sales, ideally somebody with power and clout needs to be the champion for the program in order for it to succeed. Because there's going to be resistance. It's going to take somebody that's going to need to push through past that resistance to make it a new habit, a new part of your culture, a new way of doing business. And changes like that are not easy. And so they need a high-level person who's the champion behind it who will stick with it. And also, there will be unforeseen problems and challenges. And you need somebody who's smart and someone at a high enough level who can not say, oh, we didn't realize we'd have this problem. I guess we can't do it. Who will step back and realize this is just another problem. What's the solution? The next key part to determine if a building material company is ready for a CRM program or not is that the top executives across the company, the president, the CEO, VP of sales, VP of marketing, CFO, are all committed to a CRM program, who understand the end benefit and who are ready to move through probably what might be a bit of a painful process and time-consuming process to get to the other end where you start to reap the benefits. And then the third important part is that the building material company needs to have defined, what are the business objectives they intend to achieve with the CRM program and what processes are appropriate for automation in order to incorporate those into the CRM, where too many building material companies just think broadly about, well, we want to grow our sales, or we want to grow our sales by $10 million, or we want to grow our sales by 4%. A CRM program is probably a good idea. Let's do that. It needs to be much more sophisticated set of objectives in order for you to align the CRM program, understand what you really want it to do and how you want it to do it. Otherwise, once again, you're probably going to be wasting your money. The fourth important part, in order to determine if you as a building material company are ready for a CRM program, is, do you have the budget or budgetary appetite? Are you prepared to spend the money, invest the money in terms of the licensing fees for the program and the implementation expenses and ongoing maintenance and support costs? That's another part. And many companies, they look at different CRM programs, they look at the licensing fees, and they think that's the cost. And it is much more than that, particularly in my experience in terms of the implementation expenses. While I would certainly advise engaging a consultant like Aaron to help, even if you try to do it yourself, you're going to devote a lot of people's time to do this. And it isn't like they were sitting last week looking for something to do. And then there's ongoing maintenance and support costs. So need to consider, are you ready for the financial commitment to make this happen? And then the next question I asked Aaron, is there anything unique or different about CRM applications for the building materials industry? Okay. And he said, of course, in terms of, as we all know, the go-to-market process for the building materials industry is very complex and unique. Okay. It isn't like so many other industries where perhaps, you are a manufacturer, you sell to a retailer, they sell to a consumer. We have all of these distributors, dealers, building inspectors, architects, all kinds of people involved in the middle that need to be addressed. Okay. And so the CRM for building materials, you shouldn't just pick some off the shelf thing and think it's going to work. You need one that's going to work with building materials. The CRM program that you choose to use, it will need to be customized or tailored to you. There is not, to my knowledge, an off-the-shelf program that you can just put into place and use effectively. And then the other one I asked about was some best practices that Aaron has found. And in the commercial area, commercial building materials, in which you want to be engaging the specifying community of architects and engineers on handling of projects is a core part of your success. So examples of the CRM program can help with automation of lunch and learn registries, integration of databases like Dodge and Construct Connect, commercial project tracking and qualification processes, engagement of channel and distribution of leads, substitution, package submittal automation. Automating these things can eliminate many hours of non-value added administrative burden from a sales rep life. And if you're experiencing commercial building material sales, you realize the long lead time it takes to make a sale and how easy it can be to lose a sale. And so you can, I think, start to see how a CRM program could help you manage all of those details, all those little T's you got to cross and I's you got to dot in order to not lose sales in the commercial building material area. And in residential building material area, things like dealer locator automation, homeowner engagement, homeowner lead distribution, managing loyalty programs for trades and builders can be important parts. All these can be automated. These can also, if you're dealing like in home improvement sales, if you're dealing with homeowners, that can be a very large database that needs to be cleansed and managed. And a CRM program can help you do that much more efficiently. And so For all businesses, relationship management is one of the key components of success, as well as not only dealing with the direct decision makers, but also influencers who are ever lurking in the background and are people who can usually hurt you more than help you. A CRM program can also make sure that you're covering those bases. Most building material manufacturers rely on, one or two-step distribution. And so that makes it difficult to track the sale all the way through to the end. A CRM program properly set up can help you to start to get more transparency in the sales and distribution process. So then I ask Aaron, outline a typical implementation processes. What are the steps? Who needs to be involved in each step? And how long does each step take? And what Aaron shared with me is there's 5 steps typically in an implementation program. And the requirements of that are, first of all, definition, configuration, testing, data migration, and training. Wow, there's some more of those big corporate words again. So the first thing that Aaron has found is the most important part is the requirement of definition, because that's the most important part of everything. So I might use the term like I'm going to diagnose your situation. He's using the word definition. So it is appropriate to view a CRM implementation as a process automation project, not a technology project. Therefore, defining processes thoroughly and aligning the best fit approaches to automating them in the CRM such that the CRM fits you like a well-tailored suit is a step that Aaron would say, you can't overemphasize the importance of the planning, definition, as he calls it, up front. The second part is the configuration of the actual architecture and development of the platform to meet the requirements that you have for your particular company, your channels of distribution, your way of going business. And this requires a lot of competence and experience in execution. It may seem on the surface simple because this is how we've done things, but to me, you want to be working with somebody who has done this before a number of times for different building material companies and has made the mistakes, seen some of the pitfalls, and will help you not have to make those same mistakes. And then the third element is testing of the user acceptance process to ensure that the system meets your requirements and that in the practice, the requirements are actually go back and make sure that now we have the system up and running. We'll call this in a test phase. Is it doing what you wanted to? Do you want to go back and revisit your definition of your objectives, that first step, and make sure now that you see it in place, is it doing what you want it to do? The fourth point, I love this comparison, is that a solid CRM program is a Ferrari. But a Ferrari is no fun to drive if the gas tank is empty. And data is the fuel for the CRM. Therefore, well-groomed account, contact, opportunity, and other data should be preloaded into the system. So it isn't something where you're starting with an empty gas tank, and as the salespeople are out going around, they're adding a little gas to the gas tank. Ideally, you want to preload this as much as possible. And then the fifth element, which is probably where, I've always thought about it falls down. I hadn't thought about these first 4 points that Aaron brought up. And that is training of users is critical to get them to embrace the system and to be able to effectively use it. This is particularly important if they've never used a CRM program before. If you hire a salesperson who comes from another company that's had a CRM program or effective one, they're not going to have a problem with this. But if this is your first CRM program, or we'll call it maybe you've had a CRM that's totally failed and you're now going to be seriously committed to it, it becomes really important, the training of the users, because everybody has in their own mind about what a CRM program is, and most of what people believe it is not correct. And so this training of CRM that Aaron has found is best learned by doing it. So users should be using the system live immediately following the training. And then the CRM champion, the VP of sales, whoever's in charge, should have select a group of stakeholders internally to continue to support and reinforce this effort. So this team, should include people that are managers, frontline users, I would think customer service people that all would be involved in helping to make this happen. You will now either need to hire a new person or give a current person a new job. This isn't so, and that is that you need an internal CRM project manager. And this isn't something that, oh yeah, you can also do this on top of your other job. This is their full-term job. Okay. And this is a person also that needs to have enough clout that they can, let's say, get the salespeople's attention if they need to kick some butts, as well as they need to have the skills to be able to herd cats, keep the salespeople in line, because initially it is going to be a challenge. Okay. Now, it typically takes from 3 to 6 months to correctly implement a CRM program. And sometimes for some companies, it's taken over a year. It's very dependent upon the complexity of your sales process and the scale of your implementation. And I would say also the commitment, your commitment to doing it. Too many companies think that this is just another task that can be added on to everybody and not realizing the amount of time it's going to take and commitment to really do this. Okay. And the final question our next question I ask him is, what's the best way to gain acceptance from your sales team? And I asked, do you have to make it a condition of employment or have another incentive? What should happen? And Aaron's advice is carrots and sticks. First, the carrots. Remember, productivity is a key benefit of the system. If you have not built a CRM from the start with the intent of automating processes to make sales jobs easier and their execution demonstrably more effective, you failed before you've started. Bring value to them first and management reporting benefits second. So in other words, bring value to the salespeople first and secondarily worry about the management reporting functions. If you ignore this, you will have real problems because the salespeople will not see it as designed for their benefit, but for the benefit of management. And once the system is live, you also need to be on top of it and making sure that it is working and be open to suggestions, problems that salespeople are identifying and taking them seriously and addressing them. Too many companies also just think that the salesperson is just complaining and the system is perfect and the salesperson doesn't know any better. You can't have that attitude. And then the second part, the stick with the carrot and stick approach, is to embrace, the philosophy of if it isn't in CRM, it doesn't exist. Meaning rep activity, results, and performance should be measured from CRM data. No data, you didn't do it as far as the manager is concerned. Key performance indicators, KPIs, should be measured in the CRM, and compensation programs should be drawn from CRM data as exclusively as possible. The CRM is by definition a core part of your business. What core parts of your business do you make voluntary for your team? And let's not also forget, as Aaron suggested, is that sticks apply to management as well. The expectation of everyone up the corporate ladder should be that measures are drawn from CRM dashboards. Meetings are run from them, and your team knows you're looking at them. Managers should be held accountable for CRM success in this fashion. If we don't hear from them about how this is working, then you aren't watching. So you don't want a leader who isn't fully engaged in the CRM. So it's the salespeople, how they're going to be much more productive. You're going to get a greater return from your big investment in your sales team. And then it's the leadership of the company. If they aren't also fully on board and utilizing it and being held accountable, it also is not going to work very well. And then one of the biggest resistance I always run into is I see building material companies say, Mark, I have this one salesperson. He's just a rock star. He just crushes it. Okay. And he is just, he's either flat out told me he's not using a CRM or he is very resistant to it. What do you do? Okay. And in that case, unfortunately, if you're going to use a CRM program, you need to be prepared to say goodbye to the rock star. Okay. A lot of companies, they can't imagine that. That's very hard. But in the long term, if they're going to use a CRM, they're going to have to do that. Otherwise, they shouldn't waste their money on a CRM program. So you want to really look at what I'm going to say here. Don't be swayed by the salespeople who are going to be resistant, because they are going to be resistant. Okay? The other aspect you want to make sure is when you bring CRM on board is to also take a look and say, are you doing a marketing automation program already, which you should be, and how to make sure that those two are going to work beautifully together. Okay? And you could have a program from Salesforce, and you could be using a different marketing automation program like HubSpot, or you could use Salesforce's. They can all today work together. But the important thing is that marketing, who tends to run marketing automation, and sales, who tends to run CRM, they have to be working together. Okay? They have to be aligned for you to get the full benefit from both of these programs. Okay. And that's one of the beauties of programs like marketing automation, CRM, is now you can measure more things instead of just relying on anecdotal information or someone's gut impression or what someone tells you. And so when you put these two together, now you can measure marketing better than ever before, and you can measure sales activity better than ever before. So in summary, if you don't have a CRM program, you will. As I said at the beginning, a CRM program is going to be like having a website. You will have to have one, or you will be at a real disadvantage. With that being said, the sooner that you go ahead and bite the bullet and get on board with a CRM program, the better. You'll get you will not be left behind. You'll not be reacting. You'll be proactively getting out ahead. And in many cases, you may be out ahead of your competition if you adopt it at first. Okay. And the other aspect is that the longer you wait, the harder actually it will probably be to implement this. Probably, I guess I would say you got to start thinking about, first exploring it, considering different programs. I would certainly say talk to Salesforce or Aaron at the Hunley Group. And they have competitors, other companies to certainly take a look at. Don't underestimate the cost to do this right. And first of all, I would look and say, this is what we're going to have to invest to do this right. This is what we're going to have to invest in year one. And then this will be our ongoing investment. And make sure you're prepared to make that investment, that you've budgeted for it. So you might take, this next year, you might take to simply do your homework and research and then build it into your 2020 budget if that's the way your company needs to work. But what you don't want to do is to kind of try to nickel dime this, because it will not work out. And you may have to, as I've seen companies have to scrap the whole thing and start all over. That is a really expensive setback that you don't want to do. And you also then give the CRM idea a bad name within your organization. And now you're digging yourself out of a hole, as opposed to, we'll say, you're going to be starting in a hole a little bit anyway, just because the idea of CRM is a change. And it also makes everyone more accountable, and people tend to resist accountability. So I hope this has been helpful today. You need to get on board with a CRM program, but I don't want to see you wasting your money and not doing it correctly. So I hope this has been helpful. Have a great week. And until the next episode, this is Mark Mitchell. Take care.
Thank you for listening to this podcast from Mark Mitchell on building materials, sales, and marketing. We hope he gave you some fresh perspectives on how to grow your sales, and will listen to future episodes.